So medical cannabis is legal in Mississippi, but what if your county opted out? That's what we're going to learn about today with Ken Newburger from 3MA. Well, today I have a very special guest with me. It is Ken Newburger. He is the Executive Director of the Mississippi Medical Marijuana Association. Ken, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thanks, Angie.
So you are the founder and Executive Director of 3MA. And so tell us a little bit about 3MA and who y'all do represent and some of your plans.
Yeah, so the Mississippi Medical Marijuana Association, 3MA, is an association of businesses, mostly plant-touching businesses, you know, your dispensaries, your growers, your manufacturers, but also testing, transportation, some research some research people, and then also a few of our larger fully integrated companies are also looking at doing disposal, at least of their own product. I also represent quite a few ancillary businesses, software companies, advertising companies, lawyers, accountants, those kinds of people who service the industry specifically, because this is such a niche industry, and the way that it is federally illegal but legal at the state level is a different thing to navigate, and that's really who we represent. We have a few key principles that we keep at the heart of things. They're really just two. One, keep it a free market program, and two, keep patients at the center of what we do. So those are the two things that we're really focused on, and then also making sure that people realize that cannabis is medicine, and seeing, you know, cannabis as medicine as a normal thing for patients who need it to use. Yeah. So that's really what we believe in and what we're trying to push.
Absolutely. Ken, tell me a little bit about when do you anticipate that patients may be able to see products on the market?
Somewhere around December. I mean, it could be as early as November, unlikely, just because it takes a long time. One, it takes a long time for testing facilities to get up and running. And that's something that I think people are not considering. I think they're thinking, well, if seeds go in the ground in July, you know, someone might be able to get that done by October. Well, in order to get it fully dried, cured, processed, and tested in time to actually get to a patient in a safe manner, you know, you're still talking about another month to 6 weeks of lag time. So I'm thinking probably around December. January of next year is also a reasonable time to consider it, sometime around there. Yeah. Very end of this year, very, very, very early time of next year.
Today we're going to talk about the opt-out situation. So overall, how do you feel about the cities and the counties that have stayed opted in? And it seems like we've got a really good number of those.
Yeah, so it's nice. It's about what I expected of who opted out and who stayed in. The cities that stayed in, for the most part, have had a pretty big open hand or open arms, more accurately, to cannabis. That, you know, there are no special incentives that can be given by the government.
That's right.
That's from the bill where they exempted all those programs. So I remember I was talking with one of the cities that stayed in, and they said, "Well, what do you want from us?" Right? I was talking with the mayor and his chief of staff, and he said, and I said, "Well, really, we just want to know that this is going to be an open environment. You know, we want to work with you." And they said, "Well, we just want you to come in and, you know, play by our rules." I said, "That's all we want, right? We just don't want to go into an environment that's hostile." And pretty much every single city that I've spoken with, either, you know, boards of aldermen, city council members, different mayors, they all say the same thing, which is, we're open for business. We might ask more questions of industry members who want to come here because we don't understand cannabis. But, you know, we're ready to work with you. And that's been a really nice thing. I didn't expect to get that kind of inquisitive welcome from different cities.
Yeah.
And that makes me very hopeful for the future of the program.
Absolutely. So Ken, let's talk about from a patient standpoint. Their city has decided to opt out, or their county.
Right.
What does that mean for them? Can they still have cannabis in their possession at their home, or go and get it? So tell us a little bit about what might happen there.
So from a patient standpoint, they can still get certified. They can still go somewhere and purchase at a legal licensed dispensary. They can bring it home. Physicians in their community can even give the certification, right? When you opt out, that means that you have opted out of one or all, and I think everywhere that I know of has opted out of all three, which is dispensing, processing, and cultivation. You cannot opt out of testing, you cannot opt out of research, you cannot opt out of transportation or disposal. And that's all that means when you say opt out. One of those big three of dispense, cultivate, or process. However, from a patient perspective, the businesses, they'll just up and leave. I mean, I know a few different businesses that were looking at a certain municipality that opted out. And that it encouraged them to go elsewhere. And they moved to the city next door, or even an entirely different part of the state. They may have been looking at somewhere up north and decided to go down south, or down south and come to central. What that means for the patient is that they have to travel. So it's an unfortunate thing for them that the patient is now significantly inconvenienced that they can't buy from their own community. But the good news is they can absolutely have access to the product. That is, you cannot opt out of letting patients have access to their medicine.
That's right. And, for our MCPA, it is so important to make sure not only that our patients have safe, clean products, but that they have local access to their products. So we don't want patients to have to drive from one county to another, or to have to drive, excessive lengths of time to get their medicine. So we will continue to work and make sure that if there's a large area that has opted out and making it hard for our patients to get their medicine, then we'll be tag teaming on that and working to make sure that we can get those counties or cities to opt back in, or and tell us a little bit though about the other option. If a county or municipality doesn't decide to opt in quickly, what can be the process that can be done by the voters of that area?
So they can go out, it's a very simple form, they can go out and gather signatures in their own community. They have to gather either 20% of the voting population from the previous election, or 1,500 total signatures, whichever is fewer. So for large cities like Jackson obviously didn't opt out, but let's pretend that they did. Yeah. If Jackson had opted out, you would have to get 1,500 signatures, and then the city of Jackson would have to put on a special election within 60 days of a straight up or down to opt back in. Should that succeed, then you're opted in for forever. Should it fail, the people cannot propose another vote for 2 years. However, at any given point in time, the Board of Aldermen, Board of Supervisors, or City Council, whichever is the governing authority, could call a special vote and vote to opt back in right then and there, and then they are opted in.
Thank you for joining MCPA TV. Today's episode, I hope that you found to be very informative and educational. For more information about medical cannabis, please go to our website and follow us on our social media platforms. And also, please share this video with others. Thank you for joining MCPA TV.